right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews, post Turkey Day edition.
Gobble, gobble.
Indeed, we are back after the holiday weekend. I guess technically speaking, this is the last bit of it, but who's counting at this stage? And regardless, we have another 4 games to review this week. The first of which is a pinball game that makes you mad. I mean, that's kind of light novel title levels of bluntness there.
Yeah, I was about to say, when are we gonna get isekai'd?
I mean, you can make that part of the story here, I guess. Because it's a pinball game that makes you mad. Though I suppose a few quantifications are needed here. Because when it calls itself a pinball game, it's not a pinball game. That is to say, it's not a proper game of pinball. Or,
Is it like a pinball
video
platformer?
Something akin to that, yes. I mean, I guess for
I've seen games where pinball is part of your traversal method before.
Yeah. It's like I guess a platformer or side scroller would work best here, but it is not a, you rack up points by hitting bumpers and all of that jazz kind of game. No, it is a get from point A to point B sort of affair. I'm like, at least that's the nominal goal here. Like, that's the quote unquote internal goal. But the actual goal here is to be the Stanley Parable and fail at it. At least I think that's part of it. Because the other side of the thing is, and I was discussing this in the pre-show, is to become what they call a fobbian game. Which is a term I'm going to assume that the listeners of this broadcast are unfamiliar with. But put simply, fobbian comes from QWOP developer Bennett Foddy.
Yeah, you're more likely to be familiar with one or more of the games that it comes from.
Yeah.
QWOP, Getting Over It, I believe.
Yeah. Happy Wheels, that kind of thing. Games that are intentionally difficult or especially hard to control. Now, with the pinball game here, it's not especially hard to control. At least in the vacuum here. It's more, you're kind of working against chaos theory. I say kind of because you can apparently master this game. I have looked up on YouTube, and there are speedruns of this title that run about a half an hour. But that's not the way this game is framed at all. Once again, going back to the title, it states that it's a pinball game that's going to make you mad. And everything in the marketing materials and most poignantly, the fucking narrator here is all centered around that idea of, this is a game that is very intentionally hard to control. And, in case you can't see it on the screen, the real frustration factor is in this game basically succeeded in recreating the gameplay loop from E.T. on the Atari 2600.
So it's hard to control and it takes the piss out of you for failing at it.
Yes, very much so. You know, like the the narrator is anything from fake enthusiastic to sardonic to just kind of Britishly cheering you on, as in kind of an asshole about it, to just being an asshole about it, like no matter what the nationality. Once again, kind of in the vein of the Stanley Parable. But I don't know how much this game is trying to be a treatise on, say, the frustration factor of pinball video games.
See, the thing about pinball video games is a lot of them are fairly fair.
Right. Definitely less so back in the old days, back when actually calculating out the physics of a pinball game was well beyond an 8-bit processor.
Yeah, there's a lot of snapping, and most of the time it was not in your favor.
Yeah. But we've been able to simulate pinball pretty well for a goodly amount of time, and once again, you can't. There's no fail state in this game either. Like, you cannot, by the strictest definition of video games, lose. This is why I brought up E.T. from the Atari 2600, because the frustration factor is in navigating up one of these big vertical spaces and failing over and over again, like you would do in E.T. for the Atari 2600. Though that one was more dodgy hit detection, born out of the fact that that game was built in 5 weeks. This is more a very concerted effort to erase
that was like due to a failure. This is very much intentional.
Yes. And indeed, like, one of the bullet points on the Steam page markets this as 2 to 1,000 hour playtime pending skills. See, that's the kind of humor focus that this game is going for. It very much depends on how much stomach you have for this kind of flavoring. And once again, humor. At least I think it's trying to be funny. I would argue that it very much isn't. But once again, that could also be the point. Like, I don't put it past this game to, trying to be funny and falling flat on its face to be the point. That would also very much fit in the ethos of a game like this. Like, and I guess also worth mentioning that as you go through the stage, you have the opportunity to collect unlockable themes. See, technically speaking, you're not a pinball in this. You're some bald guy, some Saitama-looking motherfucker in a white shirt and blue jeans that's been trapped in a pinball-esque orb. And I guess you're trying to escape it. At least I assume that's the plot line. It's one of those things that may matter, but also doesn't matter. Like it may matter to the internal logistics or whatever to the game, but it doesn't really matter what you are. Hence the themes.
Kind of like with
Um,
life.
I'm like, I mean, there are branches of philosophy that will argue that, but I think that's beyond the scope of this particular program. Like, anyway, outside of that, the game looks very clean. I guess is the only thing I can come up with. Like, the pinball flippers look like pinball flippers, and the pinball bumpers are a bit weird in that they're a bit polygonal.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they're perfectly round. Um, Otherwise, we got this very sparse space theme going, and I'll be honest, this thing is what I like to call basic Unity look.
Yeah. And I guess for reference, it does look like it is using Unity. There's a Unity icon on my other screen. I can see it for it.
Yeah. The music is very, in keeping with the, once again, humor or ideology of the game, is smooth, relaxing lounge kind of music. Which is supposed to set the stage and soothe you into, getting into that Skinner box mentality. Just one more flip. Um, I'll be honest, that didn't work on me. I think I spent about an hour with this game and I was done.
I think my biggest problem with this game is I can't use the for the controller. I can't use my left and right
Triggers.
triggers to do some more skill maneuvers with the plunger with the flippers. It's
Well,
all or
yeah.
Oh, are
nothing.
they digital?
Yes.
Yes.
That's kind of a pain in pinball.
Yeah. Well, once again, this isn't aiming to be a pinball game. It's a pinball-esque platformer adventure.
Okay, but in pinball mechanics and also most platformers, having an analog jump is useful.
Yes, I know. But here's the thing: they probably could have done that. They didn't want to do it. Remember, the intent of this game is literally to make you mad. Like, I cannot emphasize that tin bit enough. So yeah, the controls being a bit shit. That's like the most quappy thing about this game.
Mm.
It's either that or the frustration factor. Although I'm not sure if like quap itself was intended to be that frustrating.
Yeah, I think
Like
Quap was at least it seemed to be just a comedy.
yeah, versus what we call YouTube rage baits, which this
Right.
technically falls under. I'm like, granted, I don't think I saw that many like YouTube face cam videos. That era of YouTube may be over. I genuinely don't know. Because I think they've moved over to what they call friend slot games. If you're wondering what those are, we've covered one of those recently. Content warning.
Yeah.
Where stuff
Content
like that.
warning. What's that other one?
I'm trying to
Repo.
remember. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And I think I saw another one of those just get released on Steam.
Peak.
There's also Lethal Company.
Yeah, Lethal
Yeah.
Company, Peak. Peak has
Yep.
been doing its rounds with a lot of VTubers recently.
Yep.
Well, they just added a major update that added some extra
Yeah.
hazards recently.
Yeah. There's another one. in potentiality in a game called Side Effects.
Mm.
Yeah, like God, trying to remember what's the game we did last Christmas.
I don't even remember off the top of my head.
It was that shotgun
Oh, buckshot,
shotgun roulette.
buckshot roulette.
Yeah, buckshot roulette. That that also falls under that designation. That's the big hot YouTube trend.
Well, it's
This
shotgun roulette originally was single player only. They added multiplayer because people wanted it.
Yeah,
it's still
that's a story mode game.
yeah, it still kind of fell in with that crowd. Point is that's the current YouTube trend. This is yesterday's news.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least in terms of getting cheap clicks on YouTube.
Right.
Which is fine by me. Oh, right. I would be also remiss if I didn't mention, yes, there is tilt in this game. And you can, it's 4-way. You can tilt up, down, left, and right. I'll be honest, I don't tilt in pinball games. So I'm not sure how effective that is. But you see what Petty's doing here. Trying to get up this vertical shaft. This is the game distilled. This is what you're getting here. If you want to subject your brain to that, have at it. Otherwise, avoid.
Yeah.
You
This is very much one of those ones somebody would be having in the back of like a Reddit stories video or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, personally, yeah, this game did frustrate me. But you know what? After I was done for, I thought a goodly amount of time for a game like this, because when you get down to it, there's not much going on here in terms of gameplay mechanics or even intent. Like, I could question some of the deeper motivations. Like, is this game trying to be something in the vein of the Stanley Parable? But that would require an interview with the developer.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose another note is needed, and that's AI usage. Because apparently the developer used AI music in the trailer, like in the upcoming release trailer of this game. But as far as I can tell, as far as Steam is listing, there is no generative AI in the actual game itself. Like, still a bad move using it in your fucking trailer. Especially as the AI debate is reaching fever pitch these days.
Especially if you heard what Amazon did, which is probably going to be talked about on Wednesday.
Yeah. Not just Amazon, but Tim Sweeney opened up his mouth. Like, and he really shouldn't have. But, I mean, that goes for every situation ever, but especially, the fucking dictations of Steam, a different storefront that is run by a different company that can set its own fucking policy. You don't even put your games here, Tim. Why the fuck do you care that they have an AI disclosure policy? Why do you care so much, Tim?
Anyway, that's a topic for another podcast, Adam.
Yes.
Sorry, I have to head you off there.
I mean, guess what we're talking about on Wednesday?
Nothing. It's going to be 3 hours of us screaming at a wall.
I mean, that's every week.
Valid. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so getting back to price. This game costs $10. No.
God, no.
No, 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 no. Yeah. I'm like, download the demo. Give that a try. Like, honestly, the demo's all you need, quite
Right.
frankly. Like, that gives you one of the world. I think that's enough. And that's really what the price of admission should be. Free. But this is a commercial game,
Yeah.
and I guess if I had to rank it on, how much of a dollar amount you should give if you want to give this thing a go, or if you feel like truly challenging your skills or whatever, $5 at most.
Yeah.
Certainly not 10. There are so many other games you can buy at $10.
Mm-hmm. And
You
that's
know,
not to
that
and that's not even to mention with the upcoming Steam sale.
right. But this? No. I can wholeheartedly say don't waste your money on this for $10.
Yeah.
When once again, it's got a chunk of it which will satisfy like 95% of people who will play this.
Right.
So I gotta admit this is a new one. I've never seen the demo for a game undercut its own release. I mean, I've heard of specific instances in that they were bad demos, but this is the opposite.
Yeah.
It's a perfectly decent demo of what this game is. It's just you don't need more than what the demo offers.
Yeah. Unless you're doing this for content farming.
Yeah.
That would be
Or
the
if you
only
get-
reason you'd want to buy this game.
Or once again, if you genuinely want to put up with the challenge that this thing is offering. Like, anyway, so yeah, I think that's about it on a pinball game that makes you mad. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan reviews This Is No Cave.